Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Hello and welcome to March to the Pod, show that needs to get the golf champions on the intro.
Yeah, maybe next week if our producer gets it in.
If you're you're dependent on the wrong guy. Hey, we want to welcome you in season 2, episode 33. We're talking football and finances today. We're going to go over the Cats football team after spring practice. We're also going to talk about student referendum that's going on today where they're voting on an athletics fee, and the day of giving that Sam Houston had last week that nobody knew about. I'm your host, producer, and formerly band member of catfans.com, Corey Hogue. I'm also up for the Pope, apparently.
Yeah.
My mom's burner account said so. I think that was my mom's burner account.
One of the front runners.
One of the front runners, along with Nolan Arenado. I'm also the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channel at Corey Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU, also one word, on Twitter and Instagram. He's the chief operating officer of the Cat Fund, proud Bearcat alum, and the reason you're listening, Ben Sorrells. Hey, anything happened in the last couple weeks?
Lots. Golf, spring practice wrapping up, basketball, men's basketball, putting together a roster, student referendum, football and finances.
St. Louis Cardinals trying to figure out who they're
going to let go.
Right?
Yeah.
For those unsure, listen, it's always fun. I spend too much time on Twitter because it's my job. Which means I spend too much time on TikTok because people send me funny stuff. And my wife found this woman who really thought that the St. Louis Cardinals were going to have to give up a player. And so I'm all for that. I think Tony La Russa is the number one guy, man.
I'm going to go with my high school basketball teammate, Lucan Baker, DH and first baseman for the Cardinals. I'm nominating him.
Well, you must not like the way he hits. Does he have bad numbers?
No, he's a good guy. I think he might do a good job.
Good. That should be a qualification for the Pope. Should be a good guy.
Yeah.
I think. Hey, if you want to stick around to the end of this, and nobody does, if you really want to hear my selections for the Kentucky Derby, and I will go through and run down every entrant in the Kentucky Derby and their trainer. So that might get us canceled, but it might also be worth sticking around and listening to. But please do not put any money on that. I'm telling you, not like I know a darn thing about horse racing. I just know names and trainers and how many of them like to drug horses.
You ever been to a horse race?
Never have. I want to go to the track sometime up in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, my family has property in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and they've got a huge racetrack there. So I've got to go once. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would just go watch them race. I'm not going to go bet on all of
them.
Oh,
no. I don't know what I'm doing.
That one used the restroom before it went in the gate. Put $100 on them, right? Hey, Goodness. Here in a minute, though. I caused a little bit of a stir a couple weeks ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I made a comment about the football team, and I'm going to explain some of that as to what's happening here. Matt Santamore said, "Pope pick." Hey, we're figuring that out, right? He also says he's watching on Facebook. Ben is a freak when it comes to Bearcat sports knowledge, no doubt. He is the man. Two of the most lovable hosts in the game. Please stop it, man.
Matt's one of the biggest Bearcat fans in the game,
It is.
or in the market.
He really is. He really is. We really pizza balla. Yes.
Is that one of the names?
No, it's not. But there's some names that could get Corey in trouble because I'm a little bit immature to handle some of this stuff sometimes in life.
Yep.
But before any of that happens, before we get fully canceled, thank you, Matt, and everyone else for watching. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or on Twitter, or you're listening to us while you're driving, I promise we'll get to something good here in a minute. But first, we're going to hear a word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
I want to say a big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And Matt had another comment. Ben versus Corey in a foot race. Corey gets a 10-yard head start. It's going to have to be about a 5-yard race. Otherwise, I'm out. It's about what you get.
Oh, gosh. That'd be fun.
Hey, spring football's over.
It is.
And I heard maybe some people, I know Phil Steele at least got to talk, right? Got to talk to the head coach, to our new leader of the Cats football program. And Ben, what have you heard coming out of practice that was at a press boxless Bauer Stadium?
Yeah, a couple nuggets that I've been hearing. And I know we'll get into the portal in a little bit, but start on the offensive side of the ball. Everything continues to sound and trend towards Hunter Watson likely being the starter. Now, is that an official thing? I would say probably no, but all signs kind of point towards Hunter being the guy. And one of the biggest things that I was looking to see or hear coming out of camp is stylistically how they would run this offense. Would it be the air raid where you're throwing it 50, 60 times a game? Or are you going to see more of a 2014 Phil Longo offense where they ran the ball for 600 or 700 more yards than they threw it for? And from everything that I've heard, and with Hunter Watson and his skill set, it kind of sounds like it's going to be the latter, where they're going to be able to run the ball more than they do in a typical air raid offense. And that just plays to the skill set of Hunter Watson. Coach Longo has said a couple different times on different podcasts and in his introductory press conference back in December, he's going to play to the player's skill set, which I think is the correct thing. I think another thing that you can take away from when it comes to the style of play is you've added 5 transfer portal running backs, and you still bring back 2 at the moment that were pretty significant contributors in 2023. So you've got 7 running backs that have played at this level at a pretty high level, which kind of also points towards this being a more run-heavy offense. And kind of merging into the defensive side of the ball, I think you might have to run the ball and bleed some clock some, because all indications point towards this defense not being very good this year, especially in the front 7. I think the back 4 or 5 could be okay to average, but there are some legitimate concerns there in the front 7 with depth, talent level. And I've heard that throughout the spring is that the defense has struggled. The depth has been very thin, especially at D tackle, where you had 3 scholarship D tackles and then you lose arguably your top one to the portal. And I know you've added a couple pieces, but it was definitely a struggle in the spring. And so you kind of have that in the back of your head, knowing you might have to bleed some clock and run the ball instead of try to go down the field as fast as you possibly can. So a very high level overview, but those are some of the things I've heard and just kind of reading the tea leaves too from spring ball.
What about the transfer portal? You mentioned some that went in. Who are some of the other ones that are impact losses?
Yeah, I think we hit on it 2 weeks ago. The most notable one is Orion Irving. And thankfully, you did have a little depth at the tackle position. Obviously, you want to keep that depth, but that's a big one. I know he's visited, I think, Vanderbilt, Syracuse, and Ohio State. So he's had some pretty big offers come in. Zach Hrbacek is another one at running back. And while he might not have played a lot, he's one of the few guys that are left, or that was left, that had been here for 3, 4, or 5 years and was a part of that previous culture. So talent-wise, maybe it's not a huge loss, even though I think he's a great player and he's going to find a home somewhere, but I think that's a big culture loss. Matthew Arabasala at D-tackle, I think, is probably the biggest one. He was going to be a big piece of this team coming back this year. And then you lose a couple young pieces that I really liked from last year's class. A guy like Marcus Field, young, big wide receiver. Easton Fulton, a younger O-lineman that I thought had some potential. I know he had a knee injury this spring, but liked what he brought. Mitch Melton, a kid from Conroe High School, local kid who just brings a lot of athleticism on the edge and on special teams. So you lose a couple of notable guys, and then there are some younger guys that I wish we could have hung on to that maybe they didn't make an impact this year, but are pieces you would have liked to hang on to moving forward. And then I also think there's some aspects of you anticipate a possible roster cut of down to 105 coming up with this house settlement. Maybe it's 110, maybe it's 115. You don't know what the number's going to be, but I think a couple of those could have been because of that as well.
I have heard that. For anyone unaware, we missed last week because it was Gabe's birthday, but also these last 6 days, 7 days has been nothing but writing magazine stuff for me. I've written 14 pieces for the summer magazine in the last 7 days now. So in that, I heard from a lot of coaches, a lot of the non-FBS coaches enjoy that the roster cut, the level of players coming down to them. And that's part of the reason why I laughed when you mentioned Zach Hrbacek. Not because I'm happy he's gone. I don't think, not at all, but he received an offer the other day from West Texas A&M. And to me, that shows some of the effect that these roster cuts might be having on teams.
Yeah, and Zach is a guy, I don't know if it was roster cut, wanting to go somewhere else. Obviously, you've brought in a ton of transfers, but when Sam Houston was finishing at the FCS level, he was a legitimate running back at that level. So if he goes to that D2 FCS level, I think he's going to have a legit shot to make an impact, and I hope he does because he's got that kind of talent. Comes from a great family and is a great kid, all about the culture. So I wish him nothing but the best.
Insider alert: if he ends up at West Texas A&M, Josh Lynn's going to need him to be a really good running back this year to save him. That's all I'm going to put out there for that. What about portal additions? I know the Cats have been busy in that. Look, Longo's got to build his roster the way he wants to. Obviously, he's got some holes and some scholarships left. So who has he been bringing in?
Yeah, so 3 running backs over the past 7 to 10 days, which brings you to 5 portal additions at the running back position this offseason. Shane Porter, who I think had 600 yards at UNT this last year, so that's a pretty good pickup. You've got Amarion Gaines-Smith from Fresno City College out in California. You bring him in. Alton McCaskill from Arizona State. This will be his 4th school in 5 years. Had a huge year at Houston in 2021, but really kind of hasn't seen the field since due to injuries and just kind of bouncing around. So those are the 3 big ones offensively. And offense is pretty set, and you returned a lot from last year anyway, so you didn't need a ton of additions outside of that. Moving over to the defensive side, there have been some other ones. Shafon Boyd from Fullerton College. He'll be a D-tackle. Young guy, didn't have a ton of FBS interest, but he is young. He's a multi-year guy, and it's at a position of need. Darian Jackson, He's another one there at D tackle. He committed yesterday from Mount San Antonio College out in California. He's a guy that did have some good legitimate interest from some other schools across the country, and I think he's a piece that you could probably plug and play at D tackle. So you needed that one. Brian Spalding is another one on the edge that you pick up. I think we talked about him a couple weeks ago. Chris Eaton from Howard College, he's another one at the kind of edge D-line position that you bring in. And then it sounds like we're bringing in 2 other linebackers that haven't been announced yet from what I've heard. And then you did sign another linebacker earlier this week from Central Missouri in Chauncey Chitty. He's a guy that played on the edge at the D2 level last year. Looks like he's moving to the linebacker position this year for this season, and you desperately need depth at linebacker outside of Antavius Fish, who transferred in from Akron, and CJ Johnson from last year. You did not have a ton of that position. So you get Chauncey. Sounds like you've got 1 or 2 more coming in from what I've heard. So you add some depth there. Is it the most quality depth? I'm not 100% sure, but you're at least getting some bodies in there to be able to compete there in the front 7.
We have an alert. We have an alert here on the
Okay.
March to the podcast. General Sam has chimed in on YouTube. He wants to know, did you know by chance who was the football player on a visit yesterday, Mr. Benjamin?
Not yesterday, but I do know the 2 linebackers that visited this past week that I'm referencing to, but I was told to keep it under wraps. So there were 2 linebackers this weekend, along with Chauncey, who did commit. So it could have been one of those 2 linebackers that it was, but it could be someone else. I know there's been a lot of visits in and out with how crazy the portal has been.
Well, you want to know something else crazy? I had an opinion.
A lot of them.
That's usually not good, right? Sometimes Corey shouldn't have an opinion, but I had one on the CUSA podcast roundtable. They had their way too early football power rankings. And why is it way too early? Because the rosters aren't set until August. Just be honest. They have the top Liberty, Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, La Tech, Sam at number 5, Middle Tennessee, UTEP, FIU, New Mexico State, Delaware, Kennesaw, Missouri State. I'm curious your thoughts on the power rankings, Ben.
I agree with the top 4. I might flip some of the order within there. Looking at the second row, obviously that's us there. And I know that's what people want to talk about. I do agree that we are too high. I kind of have us towards the beginning of that third row, around there. And so I'm along the same line of thinking of what you had. I don't think it's a 5th place team. I think it's anywhere from 8th to 11th place. And that's kind of the expectation that we should have for this year.
I think you're right. And look, I put it out. I know. I put it out. I said, no way the Cats should be this high. If Vegas places Sam Houston's win total at 4 or more, take the free money. This team will be lucky to win 3 games tops. I could very well be wrong, Ben, but let me tell you this much. If Vegas comes out and the win total for Sam Houston is anywhere 5 or north of 5, I might put 4 figures down on this.
Well, you're
And
not.
I don't bet that kind of money very often, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, this team is not a 5-6 win team.
Yeah, and I know Mike Craven and Carter echoed a similar sentiment on their podcast the other day. I think they were on the Republic of Football. They said something similar about 3.5, and there's just so many factors working against you this year. Your schedule, UNLV is very good. Texas might be the top team in the country. You got to travel to Hawaii, to Oregon State. I don't want to say it's 4 guaranteed losses, but it's going to be tough to win one of those games.
I'll say it.
And then I think this year was going to be tough anyway because you lose that foundation of leadership and culture that had been built here for 5 years with those national title guys and guys that had been here through the transition. And then you lose the coaching staff too. on top of this defense, there's a chance that this defense could be historically bad, kind of thing from what I've heard. And I mean, there's still time in the portal, and this is why it's a way too early power rankings. But you just factor in all these things, and it becomes a big concern with the schedule, the culture or lack thereof, and then the defense is just going to be a massive struggle for this year.
There are many reasons why I say they will be lucky to win 3 games. And not all of them are because Phil Longo. I just want to throw that out there. Not every problem here with this program right now rests on Phil Longo. There are problems far above his head right now, too, that are plaguing the whole athletic department. Let me also say, when it comes to that, right now, pretty sour on almost the entire department at this moment. Like, I don't see, it's not trending in a good direction department wide, in my opinion.
Right.
And I think football is one of those. Let me also say, Casey Keeler got out at the right time, and he knew it. A plan.
Yep.
I think, I don't know that it was a plan, but I think at some point there was a thought of, let's see how, ride this out, get those guys that I took to a national championship game through. I've got all these guys that I redshirted, right? I'm going to see that to fruition. And then if a job were to become available, then I'll take it. Well, the job did become available, and it was the perfect job for Casey Keeler, right? Like, he goes home. So you can't blame him. There's no blame on that. I will also say, though, that not impressed by Longo. I've not been impressed. I've not been impressed by when I hear him. I'm not impressed with the things I hear from around the program. And none of this comes from either Craven or Carter Yates. I haven't spoken to either of them right yet about Sam Houston, but I'm pretty sour. I'm pretty sour on the direction of this football team anyway. And then when I go look at the schedule,
Cool. Yeah.
And let me also say this. You talk about the Conference USA. I don't think it's getting much worse. I think UTEP's going to be better. I think UTEP's probably number 5 on that list, in my opinion.
Well, that was one of the points I was going to bring up is in a G5 conference like this, it ebbs and flows so much. We even saw it in basketball. 2 years ago, I think it was probably the 15th ranked league. This year, it was the 8th or 9th. So there's going to be a lot of variability. In Middle Tennessee, year 2 under Derek Mason, doing some good things. Scotty Walden's put together some great classes. FIU under new leadership. Mike McIntyre was not a good head coach, in my opinion. He was terrible for the culture there, from what I could tell. I think they're going to move in the right direction. Sonny Cumbie's got to win, and he's got a really good defense coming back that pushed you to the brink last year. And Delaware and Missouri State were good FCS teams last year. I mean, those are games that you should win, but you're not going to push those kind of teams around. So I think it's going to be a much better, more well-rounded league than it was last year. It was a little down last year, in my opinion. And then echoing the same thing that you said around just kind of the general vibe and direction of the program, echoing that same sentiment. And to add to the schedule, too, you don't have a home stadium. You're playing 12 road games practically. I know Shell Energy is quote-unquote a home game, but you've still got to travel overnight.
And you're paying way too much to do this.
Yeah, you got to pay. You got to travel, stay overnight the night before, and then come back. So you're traveling for 12 games, which can take a toll on a team, especially with the Hawaii trip in the schedule.
Let's look at this right now, bro. Even last year's team would struggle to get to 4 or 5 wins on this schedule right now, I think, right? Like,
I think it'd be a 5 or 6 win team because you would flip 3 non-conference games. So you go from 9-3 to 6-6 probably.
Well, you start out at Western Kentucky, and look, if you're going to get Western Kentucky, that's probably the game to get them in, right? They've got new coaches. They've got new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, both come from Abilene Christian. Listen, I know what kind of offense Rick Bowie can have, and I know how good Maverick McIver can be. That's going to be a tough test the first week. If you're going to get them, that's the week. But after that, if you don't win that game, you might lose 9 straight to start the season. Because you've got UNLV, Hawaii on the road. Then you come back and you play the best team in the country after a bye week. So you're really not, you're only going to get more beat up after that. Then you go on the road again, New Mexico State. That's not going to be easy.
Another
Jacksonville
team
State
that's
at home.
New Mexico State year 2 under Sanchez. I mean, they're starting to trend in a better direction.
Jack State. I mean, they're not going to be bad. UTEP at home. That's going to be tough. At La Tech, they had better be winning. Like you said, Sonny Cumbie is on the hot seat out there. Oregon State. I mean, again, look at the road trip. Hawaii, Oregon. Like, come on. This is crazy. And then you've got the last 3 games maybe winnable if you have anyone left to play.
Yeah. I mean, those are probably your 3 most winnable games right there.
Yeah. It just doesn't look – it looks rough. It looks hard. And so I'm not – this is not an anti-Sam Houston point of view when I say if Vegas says 5 or 6 that I'm gonna make bank off of this. It's a knowledgeable look at that schedule. We're Sam Houston is in their 3rd year FBS. You're not at the quality to be able to go on and take on, or you're not Pac-12. You're not SEC, right? Like, I mean, the Hawaii trip, that is so brutal.
Yeah. And sustained success for a school like Sam Houston with a budget like Sam Houston, it's just extremely difficult. You'll find lightning in a bottle and kind of have a perfect season. And that's kind of what happened last year. A lighter schedule, health-wise, you were very good. You found a way to finish pretty much every game. And, I mean, it's just kind of impossible to replicate that, even if you were bringing back similar talent. We saw it with basketball this last year. They kind of had a Cinderella team in 23-24. Come back in 24-25 and things just didn't go their way. It's just tough at a school like this to kind of put together that perfect season. It will happen from time to time. I'm not saying it won't, but it's just tough to kind of put those 10-win seasons in football together or first place finishes in basketball together.
You mentioned funding. We're talking finance. Today is a day of F's on March to the Pod, and we're going to be back to talk funding. But first, we want you to know that we're a podcast on the Republic of Football Network, soon to change to Dave Campbell's network. And an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, we are also a member of the CUSA Podcast Roundtable, which features podcasts from all 12 CUSA schools. They put out way too early power rankings to get me in trouble. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. At March to the Pod, it's all one word. March, the number 2, the Pod. Before we move on into talking about the finances and the student increase in athletic fee, let's hear some more about our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
Once again, big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And you might not be aware, the students might not even be aware, that they are voting on a referendum on an increased athletics fee today. Hey, if you're a student and you're listening, or your son or daughter goes to Sam Houston, let them know, check their email. They're supposed to have an email today. And they're voting to increase the athletics fee. All right, Ben, before I start going into opinions that are based in absolutely just, oblivion, tell us about the fee. Tell us the reasons for it. And maybe then I'll come in. You know me, I'm negative, man. I can come in with a reason not to, right?
Someone's got to do it. But yeah,
someone's got to be the bad guy.
This is something that Sam Houston Athletics is in pretty dire need of, I would say, and I don't think that's a secret. In the landscape of today's college football, where NIL, revenue sharing are a big component of being successful. You need money, especially with the revenue sharing portion. So that's a big part of it. There's also a ton of facilities work going on around campus that you need money to fund. That includes the debt services on the press box that is going on right now, putting together a new track and field facility, the Johnson Coliseum upgrades that are supposed to go in. So you need the money to do these things. You need the money to have FBS and Division One Conference USA facilities. You need the money to be able to fund revenue sharing at a competitive level. And so how it's structured is it's going to be a $1 increase per credit hour for each of the next 5 years. So if you're a student taking 15 hours in the fall and 15 hours in the spring, that's 30 hours, $1 increase per hour. It would be $30. It would be a $30 increase for that student. The next year it would be a $2 increase. So those 30 hours, it would be an extra $60 per individual, and it's going to be a dollar increase for each of the next 5 years. So that's kind of how it's structured. If everything plays out like it's supposed to, enrollment stays kind of where it is, everybody takes 12 to 15 hours for 2 semesters, you come out with somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million over the next 5 years, which is about I don't know what the math is there, 1.34 million, something like that, per year, kind of on average. And so that's a pretty significant number to where $1+ million could give you the revenue sharing or most of the revenue sharing number that you need. Or it could help fund a facility, like build a track and field facility and help pay for that over the next 5 years. Also create additional fan enhancements and just other upgrades you need around campus. And I totally forgot to mention baseball needs a new turf. So there's just so much going on. And $7 million over 5 years could make a massive difference and help Sam Houston get to where it needs to be.
Year 5, you're asking a kid to pay $150 more a year to go to the school. And most of that's financed anyway. So by the time that comes out, right, you're talking a lot. Here's my question, and I'm dead serious about this. I've got a few questions on this, so let's get after it. Why should all of those you mentioned, facility repairs and everything's necessary, revenue sharing, why does that fall on the responsibility of the students? Why are we going out and finding that money from donors?
It's absolutely a valid question. I think it's 40 to 50% of the current athletic budget comes from students. And that's the easiest way to be able to increase is through a vote. Is it the right way? That's up for debate, obviously. But that's kind of what it comes down to. Sam Houston's a school that's going to fund a lot of its athletic budget through that student fee.
Well, they're not alone in that, right? A lot of them do it. And look, I mean, let's not play a game. The student athletics fees have been around for a long time, and a lot of these places give students free admission into every contest, and which
Sam Houston does, yeah.
Yes, which you could say your athletics fees pays your admission, so basically you're charging them season tickets, right? I mean, that's what it basically comes down to. And I remember when I was in the Army, some of the officers would complain that West Point, they don't call it an athletics fee. They just force you to buy football season tickets.
Right.
so maybe the athletics fee is a little bit nicer, but still, why is this on the backs of our students? Right? Like that's the thing that really. And I know, look, we're going to come up to this, but before we go, and I mentioned that one. Let me go with this one. How do the students know this is happening? What kind of campaign is being done by the university?
Little to none. It has been a handful of Instagram posts, and the only reason it's really gotten out there is people like myself and Sam Houston Sports Talk, Sidelines, people like that are also on Instagram, have Instagram accounts, have seen it, and have used our platforms to be able to let people know. And let people know what it's about, what it means, and stuff like that. So it's just been a handful of Instagram posts. There has been no cross-platform posting on X, Facebook. Don't think there's anything on the
campus,
TikTok.
possibly?
I haven't heard of anything on campus. So there has been no push from the athletics department or the university, no legitimate push to be able to make students aware of this.
How many students check their email daily today? College students. And I mean this legitimately, because now I'm older and I have no idea. Back in my day, we would check it all the time. I don't think that happens anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think the last student referendum they tried to pass in 2021, there were 2,500 votes, which is 10% of the enrollment. So I'm assuming it's probably going to be similar to that.
So if it fails, it's on the university. And even if it passes, it's almost like they're trying to sweep that in there without letting anybody know what they're doing, because it's almost like they're afraid for any opposition to have to present the case for this referendum fee.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it too. They don't want to open it up for questions and have people start to question it. But I think you just got to get on the front end of it, honestly. Like, you got to get out ahead of it.
Yeah. Do you think it'll pass?
I think it's 50-50. I'm hoping there was a big push from athletes or from coaches and administration to tell athletes to vote, because there are 300, 400, 500 athletes on campus. And if 2,500 votes are cast, that's a quarter of it, 20% of it right there. I know people I've been in contact with have pushed hard through the Greek Life people, and it sounds like they are on board, which is good. And there hasn't been a ton of blowback on kind of the Facebook channels from what I've seen in the groups I'm in. But ultimately, there's going to be a group of 1,000, 2,000 kids that log on to their email, see a vote. It's going to charge me X dollars more. I don't even go to games. I'm voting no. And so I would probably give it 50-50. I think it's got a better shot than it did in 2021, because that was put on the ballot 2 days before and there was literally no explanation for it. This one has been slightly better, but I don't think I could go above 50-50 right now.
Would you vote for it?
Oh, absolutely. I went to every game as a student.
I'll go to every game as a student too, and I'll pay season tickets before I wanted you to be doing that, though, right? Like, and look, I'm not saying season tickets are cheaper. That's what I would weigh. I'm not gonna lie. What gets me out on the cheaper? But that's the other question. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. The students are going to pay, whether they're paying to go to the game if they want to, or they have the athletic fee, is what it looks like.
Right. So it's going to be very interesting today, and tomorrow is the voting. I don't know if they're going to release it on Friday or when they release it, but it's kind of a pivotal moment for this athletic department. $1.4 million over the course of the next 5 years or so on average is something that could really, I mean, your budget right now is around 25 million. I mean, you add another 1 million plus a year, that's no small deal.
No, it's not. I just want you to be transparent about it. If you're a university, don't try to throw it underneath, right? Don't try to slide something in there. I don't like that. I like the transparency part of it, and I just don't feel that they've always been transparent about this. There should have been a campaign going for weeks, right? Like letting people know this was coming. That's how you do it. I mean, you might, sure, you're going to invite some people who are going to vote no. You're also going to let people know who might vote yes.
Yeah.
You cannot go off of, well, the fewer the vote, the better for me. That's not how that works.
Yeah, well, like you said, multiple weeks out in front of it. On social media, there needs to be some sort of presence on campus, whether that be having professors push it, having flyers in all the academic buildings. Hey, let's go put Phil Longo and Chris Mudge out on campus at Raven Justice. I know Coach Sirianni and Coach Vallis are in season, but maybe 5 coaches, everybody takes one day of the week, and they stand out there at the table and meet students and talk to them and talk them through this kind of thing.
Maybe
you've got to do.
Buy a few pizzas and give them a slice.
Yeah, whatever. You're making some of the money back there anyway. So.
Come on, man. These coaches, mate.
Well, no. I'm saying if you get 2 slices of pizza and it's
Yeah.
a $30 increase, that pizza is what, $4 to $5 right there? You're already cutting into it.
Look, I can't tell you where I go to eat pizza all the time, so I can't, my prices could be different.
Got some fancy New York pizza or something.
I am a fan of Rapid Fired. Do you have
I don't
Rapid
even know what
Fired?
that is.
You don't know what they've got some pretty good pizzas. I really don't know. I mean, they have chicken bacon ranch. I like chicken bacon ranch.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, we're not done talking about finances yet. We have more because Sam Houston had a day of giving. Did you know about it? Probably not. We're going to talk about that and more after we hear from our friends again over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
We truly appreciate Taylor Andrus and our friends over at Eternal Roofing for being our presenting sponsor. And Benjamin, I heard a rumor, we'll call it rumor, that the Cat Fund may have gotten a pretty nice donation that's helping some things out. We could use more, and everyone could get involved here. You don't even have to be a student. Tell us how.
Yeah, we did. Pretty good one. And that's why I've been working the phones a lot, like I said before I came on here. But yeah, go to cat-fund.com to support student athletes at Sam Houston. And it makes a difference. It absolutely does. And in turn, you get some pretty cool perks as well. Access to exclusive content. Have had some really good basketball stuff on there over the past week. Cat Fund merch, stickers. I know we're going to start planning for our next basketball auction and golf tournament here pretty soon. That's going to be going on in October. So exclusive access and discounted access to those kind of things. Definitely want to sign up, become a member. Support Sam Houston athletes. Get involved. You need to get involved in something to support these teams. We need your support.
Yes, we do. By the way, cops just caught me with my anxiety going, so had to get the cops a treat right there for that.
The cops.
The cops. That's what I call her.
Yeah.
She's the cops.
That's funny. Blacked out too.
The cops is hungry too, right?
Yeah, she's next.
Yeah. Trust me, she's hungry. She's letting me know. Hey, there was a day of giving last week. Did you know? You knew it was coming, Ben. I mean, you know all this. You're Mr. Sam Houston. You know who really didn't have much of a clue about it? Me.
The random Joe Schmo.
I didn't know. How many people did? It was what, April 22nd? Was that the day of giving?
I think so. It was just over a week ago.
So I went back on Twitter. That's what I use more often. And I searched Sam Houston Day of Giving. Softball had a few posts. Baseball, I think maybe baseball. Very few programs. The museum had a post. The university, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Listen, if you're going to do it, we're going to talk, and I'm going to bang this drum for as long as I have to bang it until something changes with this university. If you're going to do something, do it right. Stop half-assing everything at Sam Houston State. Stop it. You are half-assing way too much. The student athletics fee, you half-assed it. You did. You went out and you're not putting out any sort of notification. You're not got any sort of campaign going, trying to get people to vote, trying to sell your position, which is what you're supposed to do. Nothing. But that's one. Maybe I could forgive that. But the way you half-ass the day of giving is unacceptable. I see universities, every university they all have a day of giving. You know what? I get inundated with posts by them. I see it in my feed all the time. Sam Houston pops up in my feed when they make posts, but these other universities are popping up for a good week. And then the day of, you can't go 15, 20 minutes without a post from somewhere on the university letting you know. It shows a lack of organization, shows a lack of commitment, shows a lack of care, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm really starting to wonder. And didn't they hire somebody who was supposed to come in and be able to like manage all that stuff and get some of that out there? Like,
Yeah.
What are we even doing? I am sick and tired of things at Sam Houston being done half-ass, and that's a big problem right now, university-wide.
Yeah, well, I think they pushed it out through the Alumni Association somewhat well. The individual teams, I think probably 2/3 of them had a post, but it looked like it was something just like a coach filmed their players and they put it out. But yeah, university-wide, it was definitely a letdown as far as marketing and advertising and social media. Something the average person probably would not have known a lot about. And I think the most disappointing part of it is a lot of these, like the business school or a certain athletics team or the foundation, they had these matches or a time frame of 4 hours where things were matched. And you would think you'd be pushing that match super hard or let people know about it ahead of time to incentivize them to give, because some of them were, if we get $5,000, the first 5,000 is matched or whatever it is. And that's a lot of money for some of these organizations or whatever it might be. So that was kind of the most frustrating part to me is the match part. And there just seems to also be, like you said, they hired someone through IMC to kind of connect athletics in the university. And it doesn't seem like that's happened.
Don't they have phone numbers of all the alums usually and like the students and a whole data bank of phone numbers and email addresses?
Well, I got emails, nothing through call or text. A text is probably the easiest way to reach people nowadays.
Let me tell you, my son currently goes to a private school, which oddly enough, he will not next year. We've decided to pull him out for reasons that I'm not going to get into on a podcast. But has nothing to do with anything that's going on statewide, any of that jazz. But when they have a day of giving, first off, you know about it a week prior. They tell you, right? Then the day prior, you're getting a text message. Hey, tomorrow's the day of giving. The day of, you're getting 2 or 3 text messages throughout the day. Hey, we're at 40% of our goal on this. Hey, we got a match come in, right? Blast out a text message, blast out an email. That's how you get in front of people. I don't get it, man. I don't is Sam Houston, are they kind of stuck in the late 90s, early 2000s right now? They not met up with the kind of digital age we have?
I think they have the resources to do it. I just don't know if they have the personnel capability, like the number of people there to get done what needs to happen, or if there just isn't the drive and desire to do it.
The day of giving, and I don't say a whole lot about certain people, but I'm going to put this right here starts with the president, right? Starts with President White, my opinion, because she's got to make it a priority. She makes the day of giving a priority. She's going to say, all right, I want updates from you. You're in charge of my day of giving, if that's your department. I want plans. I want meetings. I want to see what's coming. I want to hear when our advertising campaign is, what you've got planned for all of this, right? Like then you're going to, if she's invested in it, they're going to have to be invested in it because she's going to force the meetings to do it.
Well, and Joe in the comments makes a point. He said he got a call about fundraising, but you only get a call if you've given before. I think if anything, you need to reach the new people.
Listen, if I even go vote, I get sent text messages for freaking years from these darn political parties, right? Like there's no reason why the university isn't doing that. And I'm glad Joe got the call, but that is the problem. Like he said, the problem there is you have to have been given before. He's watching on YouTube, and we want a big thank you to everyone, including Joe, watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter right now. That is the problem.
And I would say a good thing and a bad thing. Good thing is you did beat the number from last year. So maybe more people are becoming aware of it because of last year. Hopefully you can create some sort of familiarity with it. That's, I would say, the one good thing that came out of it. The bad thing is your football team is coming off a 10-3 season. Your football team drives a lot, and the athletics donations were down, I think, 8,000, which is, it's concerning. And then to tie into that, the board materials for Q1 of this year through the end of March were just released, and there was one gift of more than $5,000 given to the athletic department.
Whoa. Ben, one gift of more than five. Wait, some ain't math. Math ain't math. The math of we want Phil Longo because there's a lot of big donors pushing Ray to get into this program. Plus the day of giving. It's not equaling what we're being told it was going to equal.
Yeah, I mean, at least to this point, for sure. It's definitely concerning. And the one gift that was given, it was $25,000 to the strength program, which is great. That's good. But I mean, you even look at Texas State's, and I think Sam Houston's total giving in Q1 was, and this was before the day giving, was 1.1 million, and Texas State was just above 2 in individual gifts to the university. It just shows the gap between the funding that a school like that has and what we have.
It shows a gap between an electric president whose face is out there all in this, and an electric AD who's out there raising the money, not, trying to ride off into the sunset right now.
Yeah, he's a Sam grad
I'm just
too.
calling a spade right now, right? Like I'm not going to pull punches around here. I don't think I think we've done that too long with Sam Houston.
Yeah, no, I agree. Something's got to be done about it. I mean, people have got to step up.
Yeah, and listen, the only way anything's going to change right now is if you, the people who are listening, start contacting the president, some of the people in the university, and letting them know, hey, why are we doing this? This ain't right. What are we doing? And start asking questions. And if you're a donor, if you're somebody who's giving money, you darn Skippy, you need to be up there knocking on that door saying, hey, why don't we have a better plan for our day of giving? Why are we not promoting this properly? Show things that other universities do on their day of giving that you could do for that. It's all over. Though that's where it's going to start, because if they're not going to go ahead and put the importance on it now, the only way they're going to is if you complain enough. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep. Like Joe said, pride.
And Joe Chase says pride.
You gotta.
I ain't here for that. I ain't here for that. Ego is the enemy. Pride before the fall. I can name you 1,000 things. Pride never is an answer. Pride is always a negative. Always.
On the other side of it, people got to have pride in where they went to school too.
I'm talking about like Sam Houston.
Right.
First, like I'm talking. There's two sorts of this.
Oh
right?
yeah, two sides to it.
But the university, you've got to reach out. Yes, the people who went to the school should be proud of the school. You've got to help make them proud of the school. You also got to let them know, not all the time, inundate them with that. And yes, I get did the alumni maybe donate like they should have? No, right? Like Aggie Pride pumps the money, Joe Chase says on YouTube. And he's right. He's right. But that pride starts with the Aggie school, right? Doesn't the Aggie school put out that pride? Don't they kind of foster that and build it and do things to develop it?
Yeah, well,
they don't just expect the students and fans to do it. Otherwise, you wouldn't get much.
Starts when they're on campus. You got to give kids the experience while they're there. And I mean, I know Sam Houston has the commuter school tag to it, but how can you change that? I think, and I know that's been a problem people have been trying to solve for years. And hopefully, it's another reason why you need the athletic fee. Maybe you enhance the game day experience for kids, whether that be more giveaways or tailgates, whatever it is, to create that experience where people are proud to go to Sam Houston and do things while they're a student.
I just, it's hard for me to buy the commuter school thing, because even you go to some of these Division III universities, and let me tell you, that first few days you go there, you're going to know they've got pride in that university.
Yeah.
Right? And if they can do it, so can you. Part of this reason why they don't have, I mean, there's got to be a push to make the students feel involved in the university, feel involved in the athletic program. You have to help. Once you get that rolling, it'll build itself. Like the Aggies now don't need the school to push the tradition and the pride and the giving, right? The Longhorns don't need that, right? Because they've built that base of it. It just kind of keeps rolling now.
Yeah.
You haven't built the base. You've got to start down there.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because I feel like Sam Houston was getting there in the early 2010s. And I mean, I got to campus in 17, 18 around there. So by then things had started to decline. But if you look at basketball numbers, late 2000s, early 2010s, you're averaging 2,500 people per home game, almost 3,000. Now you're averaging maybe 1,000. You look at the football games then, especially the playoffs. I mean, they're probably having to send people away because people are up on the grass. You've got 15,000 people there. You'll never see Bowers like that, really.
Not right now.
Yeah, right now. And so the student involvement just seems like it's kind of cratered after early 2010s when it seemed like it was starting to peak and move in the right direction.
Somewhere that base got busted, and you've got to rebuild that thing. That's just what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Hey, before this came on, we almost didn't have a show today because Gabe is now at the one of the, what do they call them?
Urgent cares, something.
Urgent cares. So I don't know. My wife does insurance. I mean, I don't give a darn. Right? Please. And he got his pinky finger on his right hand. It got run into, and it's black and blue and swollen and nasty. And he was like, "Dad, I don't know what's gonna happen." And I was like, "Well, son, listen. Let me see if I get it. This is how my fingers go up in the number 3 on my right hand. I can bend them up like normal, but they're not gonna stay. Let me show you the 3 on this hand. I can't even keep that finger up all the time."
Oh, goodness.
That's what happens when you jam your fingers all the time, right?
Yep.
That's exactly what happens to you. So
He's taking up after you. I saw a picture of it. It's huge.
it is. It is. It's really swollen. Hey, before we go, I said I was going to give some Kentucky Derby stuff. So why not, right? You ready for this?
Have to.
We have to. Kentucky Derby is on Saturday. Typically, Alicia and I, we know nothing about horse racing, so we'll look and pick ours on the day of. But this time I'm getting a head start. So I've got 4 that I have already chosen here, but we're going to go through the list, starting at post position 1. Man, it's coming in strong right here. Very strong with Citizen Bull. And Citizen Bull is trained by Bob Baffert, and we know he's good at cheating.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Right? Yeah, how Bob Baffert has drugged horses for so long. In the 2 posts, Neo Equos. If I can't say your name, you're not one of mine. Okay. Final Gambit. Don't know. Sounds good. I like the name. Rodriguez. It's too bland. I know it's a Bob Baffert horse, but it's just too bland. American Promise. Dwayne Lucas.
Dwayne.
Oh, no. Look, Dwayne Lucas is a known trainer. Like, he's really good at that, too. Probably a cheater as well. American Promise, I don't know. Sounds political, and I cannot touch anything political.
Moving on.
Moving on. Post 6. Admire Daytona. I've never been there. How am I going to admire a place I don't even know anything about?
Fair.
Yukihiro Kato. Jeez. Number 7. This one intrigues me. Luxor Cafe.
Sounds like elitist.
Noriyuki Hori. Yeah, well, that's perfect for me, right?
Oh, yeah, with that big house you got.
Yes, yeah. Number 8. I am not trusting it. Journalism. Michael McCarthy. I am not trusting it.
You're a part of it, though.
Hey, listen, you ain't getting me on that one. And the bad part is that when you look at the odds, journalism's the favorite at 3-1. It'll cheat its way and lie its way all the way there. Here we go. Number 9, Burnham Square. That's another one that interests me. I like that name, Burnham Square. Ian Wilkes is the trainer on that one.
Yep.
Todd Pletcher is the trainer on post number 10. And Todd Pletcher has won some Kentucky Derbies in the past. He's a good trainer. However, a horse named Grande?
Yeah,
I wasn't going to expect that crap. What you going to get?
Yeah, you need what? Small horse, small jockey.
Grande. No, I mean, I want to know what it is. Like, what are you getting? like, what's your dream? You can't just say Grande. No, they can't feel that stuff.
Fair.
The 11 slot Flying Mohawk. I love the name. I can picture a Flying Mohawk. I just don't know if it's going to crack my top 4 trained by Whit Beckman. Number 12, East Avenue.
Yeah, you need a derby. You need a derby hat, Corey.
I do need a derby hat. Yeah. East Avenue. One of those derby hats like the women wear. That's what I
Yeah.
Big flowers and all that. One of those big dumb hats like Step wears out at the 7-on-7 and put some flowers on it or something. 12, East Avenue. I don't even know what city that is.
It sounds like New York.
I can't do it. Can't do that one. 13, Publisher. See Journalism.
Publisher and journalism, yeah.
Not touching it. Stephen Asmussen. And again, touching that one. Not touching that one either. 14 is going to also get me in trouble. Not only is the name Stephen Asmussen going to get me in trouble, but the name Tistastic in 14 is really difficult for me to be mature about.
It is.
You have no idea. 15, Render Judgment. Nah, look, man, I ain't all about that right now. I ain't for that. 16, Coal Battle. Sounds West Virginia. Don't like them. Just not a fan of West Virginia. Number 17, Sandman. If you do
sounds Virginia Tech. You go West Virginia. Well, Coal Battle's West Virginia. Sandman is Virginia Tech.
Oh, well, then we don't want none of that either. Sandman's out. 18, Sovereignty. Sounds political. I'm out. 19, Chunk of Gold.
I can get behind it.
Well, how big a chunk?
It's going to be worth something regardless.
Look, gold is worth a lot right now. But chunk, I don't know. And then in number 20, trained by Brian Lynch, Owen Almighty. Can't do it, man. That sounds like a play on a movie from years ago, and I didn't like it.
So who are your top 4?
All right, so here's my 4 in order. This is how I would bet. I'm going with Burnham Square, 12-1. Not the favorite. The favorite right now is Journalism. Rodriguez is 12-1. Burnham Square is 12-1. Sandman is 6-1. Sovereignty is 5-1. So those are your 3 favorites. Journalism, Sandman, Sovereignty are your 3 favorites. So I'm not going with it.
You're not too far off, though.
Not too far off. Look, I understand how gambling works. I understand how horse race betting works. Even though I've never been to one, I understand this. I may or may not have won some money off of some derbies in the past. I'm not going to say yes or no. I may have lost some money, may have won. I'm going Burnham Square, top 12-1 pick. Number 2, I'm going Luxor Cafe because why not, right? I'm elite. I'm an elite.
Sounds elite, yep.
Yeah, 15-1. Citizen Bull, Bob Baffert. I trust someone who knows how to cheat well on a derby race. 20-1, right there. And I'm coming in with Tistastic. I have to.
You have to put them in there.
I have to because when this show ends and I get off of here, I'm going to be very immature for a while. And all day Saturday, you're not going to want to talk to me. It's going to be all about being Tistastic. Joe Chase says, nah, the Butler one.
I think he was talking about when we were talking about hats.
Oh, the Hickory Dickory Dock one. Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't know. Something about a Butler hat, maybe. I'm not very well versed.
Yeah, no, he said hat. Yeah, he's talking hat. I didn't. Man, there might have been a horse named Butler. I don't know. I just read them all. I ain't got a clue. That's the life of me.
I gotta see. Okay, I gotta pick one to go with.
A bowler hat.
I gotta pick one that you didn't pick.
Well, you can pick one that I did. You can pick whoever the heck you want. Here, let me do this for you. Let me bring up the actual odds here so that you can see.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with journalism, the favorite, and just to tick you off, just to.
Dude, if journalism wins, the country wins.
Journalism and publisher 1-2.
If journalism and publisher win, our country wins, man. God bless America, right?
Yep.
If journalism wins, there's going to be a lot of mad people.
Well, I don't know how they come up with these names, but it's fascinating.
Apparently, it's just a sprain on Gabe's finger, so that's the good news there. But I don't know how they come up with these names either, right? Like that's what I enjoy about horse racing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I strictly enjoy finding these names and laughing about them and coming up with comments. That's really what I enjoy about horse racing.
It's fun.
I don't miss really any of the major ones if I can. The 3 here starting Saturday. If I don't have to, I try not to miss them. So
you know what I'm surprised hasn't happened is these companies are coming in and they're going to use their company name to name the horse. Progressive Insurance, Duracell Battery. Could you imagine?
Why are you trying to ruin horse racing?
It's going to get there at some point, whether we like it or not.
I don't think it will.
You never know.
I mean, it would take. These people make a ton of money on those on the gamblers at these races, right? There is so much money spent. There would have to be a big fall off for them to start having. I could see advertisements on the jockey.
Yeah, something.
Chris Ramos presented by Progressive.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's the Giorno Dog.
Oh gosh.
That's where it could go. Hey, you want a baseball update before we get off here?
Moving up, getting better.
A little. Look, the Space Cowboys. We had quite a bit of time off, no practice because of rain and everything. We had a game Monday night against the second best team in the league, and we are not the second best team in the league. I don't think we're going to finish last in the regular season. If everything shakes out the way I think it will, we'll probably finish 5th out of the 6 teams in the regular season. But that means playoff start, we get the 4 seed first, so we could win a playoff game. Anyhow, this is what's promising. I might have figured out the lineup for this machine pitch. The problem this year was that we were getting guys on bases loaded and then not able to get the hit. I didn't have the right guy up when the bases were loaded. I don't know if I figured out a formula or if God's just playing games with me right now and laughing at my rear end. But the other night, we scored 10 runs, Benjamin. And we had the bases loaded twice, and my best hitter came up both times and drove them home.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I did. I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about this at all.
Especially with it being a pitching machine.
A pitching machine, yes. But we lost 11-10 on a walk-off, right? I was down 2 players, actually.
The pitching machine's got to pick it up. It's got to do better for you guys.
Dude, that machine. First off, you're going to like this one too. So we're allowed 10 fielders in this machine pitch league. Right? Every other coach, they all put them in the outfield. I was putting one behind second base, kind of calling them a 5-hole. Then I had an idea. And since then, we've been doing a lot better defensively. I have 2 pitchers, one on each side of the machine. And I have regular alignment everywhere else. If you're going to give me a 10th guy and you're going to put a machine that blocks my pitcher from getting to the ball, why don't I put another pitcher on the other side so we ain't got to worry about that crap?
Yeah, and they're probably not hitting it to the outfield a lot anyway.
There's 2 or 3 kids usually per team, maybe 4 or 5 if you get to the top 2 teams, right? Like there, a couple of kids on that team we played the other night. You're not gonna do anything about it, right? Like we gave up 11 runs, but we didn't field bad. We had pretty good fielding, so it just happens, right? That's baseball, and that's machine pitch. It comes in at 40 miles an hour. Like it's these are first and second graders, and they're hitting 40 miles an hour pretty consistent.
It's legit.
We'll see how it helps when we get up to kid pitch next year. Right now, my catcher could be on the injured list with a sprained pinky finger.
Oh gosh! Now you got just put him by the pitching machine. Put 3 of them there.
Good thing we had his bowling birthday party last week.
Yeah, that would not have been good.
Oh well, just
Canceled.
roll the thing anyway, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Ben, thank you so much. Anyone who stayed around for the last 10, 15 minutes of this jazz, severe thank you to you. You have earned rewards beyond what heaven can offer. For anyone who listened to the other parts, we want to say thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Without you, we're not doing any of this. Big thank you to our presenting sponsor and friends over at Eternal Roofing. And a massive thank you to you, Benjamin Sorrells, for once again blessing us with all of your knowledge. We really appreciate it. As we head out, the Cats, we can get better. Help us. What can we do? Let's get a little.
Yeah. Eat 'em up, Cats, and let's go journalism.
What the heck is wrong with you? I said no.